Listen, if I would say that, again, in a business venture, which is a business of outliers, you cannot have, let's say, a similar repeatable process for every single startup because there always are exceptions. So I want to preface by saying that. But we certainly do have a very thorough and rigorous process when we look at businesses. And we have an 8-step checklist process essentially, where we do look very carefully at various metrics for us to try to bring it down to a science and really work with a scorecard to see which one scores and how. So we spend a lot of time looking at the business model, to understand how scalable it is and, how realistic are the assumptions. Of course, when you meet founders, you'll see projections to the moon, right? So really trying to bring that back to earth and really understand, how realistic it is given, comparables from other competitors. How are the margins? How is the capex? How is the cash runway? So for us, it's really important, and we have, as I mentioned, a scoring mechanism for different aspects of the business model to see where they score. Then we spend a lot of time on the team. For us, it's important to see that there's a high caliber management. Like we really, with I'd say very strong technical industry knowledge. So you're talking about technical expertise and talent. I mean, that's of course extremely important. But above and beyond the knowledge, because we have found situations where you have brilliant minds, strongest technical experts, but the life of a startup is facing headwinds, facing obstacles, curveballs. And we want to understand, what are they going to do when they face these curveballs? And how are they going to handle adversity? Are they going to be able to walk through fire and make it to the finish line no matter what? Or are they going to give up and go back working at some IT job with a nice cushy salary, right? And that's okay too. I mean, there's no right or wrong here, but what we really want to find are kind of those really strong outliers, right? Almost those types of founders that really just want to prove a point to prove a point, right? So, and we've seen many examples of these. And so really spending a lot of time with the team, on the team, speaking to references that have worked with them in the past. I mean, to us, it's really, really important to find that level of high caliber that is really important. So once we've established the business model and the team, the third then is the product and service, right? So we want to understand the technology, and that's really where we want to see is a product of a strong value proposition to clients. Are they building something where there's actually a market pull? So we want to see a demonstrated proof of concept or a pilot. We want to see a certain level of customer traction, and that's where we do customer calls, and we actually speak to customers that are using the product saying, what do you like? What do you not like? What could be improved? And, if a competitor comes in offering something similar, would you do the switch at a lower price or not? So we really want to take jabs at all angles to really ensure that this is something that is extremely solid. The technology does need to be disruptive. There needs to be breakthrough. It needs to be patented typically or protected. Again, we really want to see the moat. As mentioned earlier, the market needs to be at least $1 billion in TAM. We want to favorable regulatory dynamics, and an established go-to-market strategy with a targeted customer base. The last thing we look at is really the competition, how unique and differentiated the offering is compared to the competition, and to us, doing a lot of knowledge on the competitive landscape. And the last but not least is the exit, right? So what is the exit? What is the duration? The game of venture, really important to mention. It's great to find these unicorns, and it's great to have these amazing exits. But the question is, in how much time are you going to achieve those exits? Because if you're going to get a 4x return in 5 years, it's a totally different picture than getting a 4x return in 10 years, right? You've literally cut your IRR in half. So time is the biggest enemy for IRR. So really trying to model that out and get a good understanding around that, I think is really key. And whether it'll be an IPO or an M&A or another strategic exit. So as you could tell, Michelle, a very long and winded answer to your question on how we look for unicorns. But for us, obviously, it's a massive exercise, and that's why we have a team in place that does this types of diligence and research, because we are absolutely looking for outliers. So once we've checked all these boxes and we've built in a scoring mechanism, it allows us to some degree, bring down this, unicorn search to a certain science. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But it gets us closer to our targets and our goals, and we're proud of that.